what I would say if you choose not to go to film school, you still need to do your due diligence of becoming the best image maker. I call it more so being an image maker, because you are creating images that are going to live after we're gone, and it's almost like they're immortal, and you want people to say, God, this person really did an amazing job with creating, this little sector in the world that now we pay attention to because they created these images that matter.
Hey, Common Sensor, if you're looking for acting tips, industry insights, interviews, life lessons, spiritual lessons, you have come to the right place. Today, I am just tickled pink as you can see, I'm pink, to introduce you to our next guest. She is a young, up-and-coming, kick-ass filmmaker who I love and I'm so proud of. She's just amazing. So please help me welcome B.Monet. Hello, Miss B. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good. So let's talk about what you have accomplished. You went to Spelman,
I did.
Got your BA at Spelman. Mm-hmm. Then you went to NYU and kicked butt and got your MFA in film and writing. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then how soon after you graduated did you start pursuing your film career?
Yeah, it's that question. It's just interesting, when someone tells you your biography and you're like, yeah, I did do all these things. I would say a few years, right after graduating school, I worked at Beyonce's production company. Then I was an office PA on patty cakes. Then I also taught documentary filmmaking to teenagers at Brooklyn Museum in Brooklyn, and then came out here in LA for a fellowship called Project Involved with Film Independent. So it's just been a very much of a journey, and then after that kind of got into commercials and branded content.
What did you learn working for Beyonce's company that would serve you moving forward?
I would say that if you are very serious about being in this business, that you have to be tenacious, that you can't take no for an answer. And even when you do have that be the answer, you still have to go against the grain and kind of be rebellious and say, okay, if I am to direct, if that's what I want to do, I have to find a way to do it. And I knew kind of with being there that if I wanted to be taken seriously as a director, I would have to find a way to make my own projects, to kind of not use that as my landing, that I had to find my own artistic abilities and write my own projects, because that wasn't enough for me. So for me, it was like, I need to be challenged. I need to do things that matter to me. And the only way that I was going to do that is if I left. And I was like, I can't stay here. Even though I was learning some stuff, I also just felt like in order for me to do my thing, I gotta move.
So when you graduated NYU, because I would think, well, let's back up. Yeah. When you graduated Spelman, was the electricity after graduating Spelman as great as the electricity after graduating NYU?
No, not necessarily the electricity, because I think I was younger. I literally just came out of Spelman and went straight to grad school, so I think you just have a lot of energy when you're a little bit younger, and you're just like, I'm just gonna do this and I'm just gonna go. But I think after going through film school, because that was a very rigorous experience for me, sometimes it was very racist, very sexist, very ageist, and so I think it jaded me a little bit, but I knew that I had a lot of important stories to tell. So I think with also working at Beyonce's production company, it made me get back on the hobby horse and say, okay, why are you doing all this? And I think also being reminded of my family and being like, I also want to get my mother, a Rambler house one day. And I know that sometimes, that may sound like random to people, but I know that if I want to do that, I still have to go after my dreams. And so for me, it was like just realizing you gotta push forward.
So let's unpack what they don't teach you at film school, because you went to not just a prestigious film school, but they really, I have to say, NYU kicks ass as far as teaching the student how to be a renegade, well, not a renegade, but an independent filmmaker.
Yeah.
You know, to just go out there and do. So tell us what is not taught at film school.
Yeah, I think film schools will teach you the craft, but sometimes not necessarily the business. Even from doing a commercial standpoint, I didn't even know how to do like a treatment. So the first branded content thing that I did with the Me Too founder, Tarana Burke, my treatment for that I presented was so long. I didn't realize that it didn't need to be that long, but I didn't learn that in film school.
So what else does film school not give you?
Whew. I think even just as practical as learning about agents and managers, and like how do you get access to them, what do you say in the meetings, even if they're blowing smoke up your ass, excuse me, but you know, how are you going to serve me? How do I know that you're really invested in me for the long haul and not just right now because I have this catchy project, or because I'm diverse, or because I'm a part of this new wave.
A woman.
A woman, a black woman, whatever. How do I know that you really are invested in my career and me trying out new things?
Okay, anything else that film school does not give you?
I think everyone who goes to film school wants to be an auteur, especially NYU, a writer, director. Oh my God. But it's like, how many people actually will write and direct that you see, in the business working? That's not always a percentage. I know one of the first conversations we actually had at film school, he's no longer with us, but it was Bob Nixon. He was saying, look to your left, look to your right, look at your classmates, and only 5 of you are really gonna be, in the throes of the industry. And we're like, God, like, we just got here, But as you see with more and more of the climate and just people's personalities, I think sometimes if you are a favorite in film school, you peak and you feel like you've already made it. I didn't peak in film school. Nobody thought that I would be anything. Or even I remember one of my cinematographers from Q.U.E.E.N that I saw like a month ago. Somebody said to him, "Oh, you're going to be working with her for, her film? Oh, good luck." Because it was already this position of like, I wasn't, a hot shot at all. And so I'm glad that, film school is a great place, and it should be a safe space for you to learn, so that you don't have to learn in the world where, you have $20 million and you don't make back your money, and you have to really fall on your face and may not ever do a film again. So to me, I think film school is a great place for you to learn your voice, and your voice cannot be taught. A lot of people at film school, I felt, were trying to be Ang Lee, or trying to be Scorsese or Spike Lee. Who are you? What is your voice? What are the stories that you need to tell? Nobody can inform that. And so to me, it's like, it's so important if you know who you are before film school. And if that's 21, if that's 35, if that's 40, okay. But just know when you get into this space, know who the heck you are, because they're going to try to break you. And I know that I feel like I definitely had to go through that experience, but I rebuilt myself through a lot of help, a lot of support.
Well, it's not that people try to break you. It's just that you have to be, they only let in either the golden children or the ones who keep breaking down the door. Those are the
and
two
windows.
Yeah, those are the people that make it. Not the ones who are the most talented.
Yeah.
It is the ones who've been walked in and said, "This is B.Monet is the shit."
Hey.
Or the one who says, "I don't care what you say. I'm coming in there. I'm coming in. You're gonna get me. You hear me? I'm coming in." Those are the ones the people who are tame and are waiting for the phone to ring or somebody to give them, they will never cross over. And it has nothing to do with talent. It has to do with persistence. And that's with anything. You talked about there are students in schools that are the darlings of the teachers in the school, and then they never go beyond that because they didn't have trials and tribulations in the school. Yeah. They didn't have challenges to say, okay, you got to come back. It is imperative to not stay on the floor. You can fall on the floor, but don't you stay on the floor. Get your ass up.
Okay.
Get up.
Yes.
It's like somebody can say no, B, and then you can go, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya, because I'm coming through. Right. That's right.
When you go to film school, if you go to any type of art school, you really have to know who you are, because you are going to be very tested in acting school or in film school or any type of conservatory. And you got to know what you stand for, because it's going to be, you're going to have your back against the wall sometimes. And are you going to, feast or famine? And especially being in New York, it's a feast or famine.
Yes. Do you think film school is worth it?
Oh, that question. Oh. It's hard because I don't think I would be the filmmaker I am without NYU. But I don't advise people to get into debt. So that's what's also a little bit tricky, because everyone's financial, situation is different. And NYU, USC, AFI, all these places are very expensive to go to if you're not a person who comes from money. So it's hard for me to tell somebody, yes, go to film school. What I would say is, if you choose not to go to film school, you still need to do your due diligence of becoming the best image maker. I call it more so being an image maker, because you are creating images that are going to live after we're gone, and it's almost like they're immortal, and you want people to say, God, this person really did an amazing job with creating this little sector in the world that now we pay attention to, because they created these images that matter. So yeah, that one's really tough in terms of should you go to film school or not. I would say if you don't, though, you need to be on sets. You need to be assisting directors, assisting producers. If you don't like that, get in the camera department. You need to get your hands wet. And the only way to get your hands wet is like being on sets, shadowing people, and also becoming a cinephile, which I want to become more of. If there are filmmakers that you really are inspired by, look at their work from chronological, like from start to finish, and say, okay, Hitchcock, I want to start learning Why Were You like the master of suspense. Okay, watch his first film and then keep on going down. You don't have to be in film school to do that. So there are a lot of things that you don't have. I mean, you can
still get an education without film school if you
do the work.
Yes. So let's talk about film festivals, because I think for people of color, that's really an untapped area.
Yes.
What made you say, and what was the first project you said, I'm taking this to film festivals?
It was actually it's just ironic to think about this, because my grandmother gave me a certain amount of money to make this particular film that is still like my labor of love, and I'm going to turn it into a feature film. It's called Q.U.E.E.N and has dots in between. And that was the film that I started to submit to film festivals, and learned a lot about, like, kind of, if you have a short film, it really shouldn't be over 15 minutes, because if you submit it and it's over 15 minutes, it's like, that's a lot of chunk of time for just one film. So me being naive and being very like, this is what I want to keep this scene, I think I submitted maybe like an 18-minute cut, like when I was starting to submit to festivals, and I wasn't also seeing them I wasn't seeing many yeses. So I had to learn that, go back into the cutting room and say, what actually needs to be in this short, what can be taken out. And that was a very great learning experience for me, because I didn't realize that, yes, it's a short film, but does every frame that is in this 18-minute cut need to be in there? No. So I would really charge people to make more 10 to 12 minute shorts because that's really the sweet spot. Anything over like 15 is really hard for programmers because you got to think if there are 5, films in your block and yours is taking up 17, 18 minutes, that's a lot. That doesn't even give other people an opportunity, and people's attention spans are just so short.
So when you went back and edited so that you could be within that 15-minute range,
Yeah.
what started happening for you with film festivals?
There was a shift I saw when I recut, Queen and made it shorter. I was like, oh, wow, like, I guess I didn't need that scene. And I guess it makes me also think from a longer standpoint with making a feature soon that everything in the film really has to count. It shouldn't just be in there just for frills and thrills or just because it's a pretty shot. Like, I think every frame needs to be saying something to the viewer, like, this is what I want you to feel, or this is how this character is emoting. And so I really learned that from...
And this film not only got into festivals, but it was the film that Aspire picked up, yes?
Yes, Aspire picked it up.
And Aspire, for those of you who don't know, Aspire is a television network that is partially owned by Magic Johnson. It's one of the Black premier cable networks.
Yes, I think that's what's so interesting and why I charge people to make films that matter, because it's like when you make something that matters to you, you just never know how God is going to also reward you in these ways of like just things that open up. I didn't know that by me making Queen, all these other things would also happen because I made something that was important to me. And
so let's talk about that.
People.
So one of the things that I tell young people is when you graduate, don't rush to go get representation.
Yeah.
First, go put your projects in film festivals so that people start, so a buzz starts generating on your work, because it's better to have an agent want you than you begging an agent to take you.
Listen to this woman, yes.
So once you, because there are a couple of lessons here that I think is important for the viewer to know, is like you started out with 18-minute film. And then after all these submissions and not getting returns, you didn't give up, but you went back into the editing room and said, okay, I'm going to recut this and I'm going to make this a worthy piece. Not just, I have a short, I want you to watch it, but this short is important. And because you were smart enough, because I think it requires wisdom and to remove ego from it, because as artists, especially when you're starting out, you think you're the shit, and nobody can tell you anything, and that if you're not able to step back and go, okay, how can I make this better? How can I improve this? This is my reputation here. Not my ego, but my reputation.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I want to be in this business, so now I'm going to make corrections in order to get there. So tell me about Horizon.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad. See, that's a good, yes, you're doing your job. I love it, because Horizon Awards, I was telling you a little bit about that. Back a few years ago, I did this program called Horizon Award. I found it, and I feel like people are always like, how do you find stuff? The producer had in you should kick in at some point. If you are looking for grants, looking for fellowships, looking for opportunities, no, they're not going to just magically appear. Get your ass on Google and look for them, because there's so many out there really looking for you to apply. But I think people are not applying themselves by even just doing research.
What should they enter?
You could do no film school, film grants. You could do film fellowships. You could do Horizon Award. You could do Sundance, screenwriting opportunities. I mean, there's so many grants and so many organizations that are dedicated to giving you and offering you support as a filmmaker throughout the journey of you as a filmmaker. So it's just like, it would be crazy to not apply to some of this stuff, or even, mentorship. everyone needs mentorship. And so I was like, I am going to apply to this. It's for women filmmakers. Basically, I got this call that was like, oh my God. I mean, I got a call from Cassian Elwitz, who has produced Mudbound. He's produced Dallas Buyers Club, is producing Dee Rees's current film. And I was just like, oh my God, like, I'm going to Sundance. This is crazy. Because I always feel like sometimes with these opportunities, they kind of feel like gambles. And it's like, yes, I feel like I'd be a great candidate for this particular opportunity, but am I going to get it? Ugh, I don't know. But again, when you make work that matters to you, God, universe, ancestors, I think provides opportunities for it to also be into the ether. And so for me, it was such a fly on the wall experience, but a beautiful experience for me to experience, Sundance. It was also the Women's March that year. Was also had a beautiful screening with the other winner. Both of us had the opportunity of screening our work at the WME Lounge in front of agents, in front of managers, in front of other people in the industry. And that doesn't even happen for people who have their films programmed at Sundance. So the fact that we had all these eyeballs on our work was just like tremendous to me. So I feel like if you can find loopholes, if you can find ways to getting to where you want to be without being deterred when maybe you didn't get into Sundance that year, find another way. Or, oh, your friend is going to Sundance, maybe tag along and also go with your friend to Sundance and also meet who you need to meet, because you do have to be, I would say, in the game player regions, which are New York and primarily LA, if you want to do film and television. I'm not going to say that you can't be elsewhere like in Atlanta or New Orleans, but you kind of need to be where the industry is. And I tell a lot of women, people of color, to also put a profile on Free the Work. I am not represented by anyone right now. I have a lot of companies interested in me and all of that, but Free the Work allows you to create a profile and you can put your work on there and companies can see what you're made of.
freethework.com?
freethework.com.
All right.
Yes. And so if you are a director, if you are a cinematographer, a colorist, if you have a certain discipline, I would definitely say to create an account with them, because you never know. A lot of companies are saying we do need, a woman. We do need a person of color to direct this. And they are doing that. I think it still needs to be a bit better with crews, because even though I just directed a promo and we had predominantly all women in the camera department, there is like 90% women. Camera op, ACs, all of that, that's not the norm. And it's like until we make this mandate of actually hiring the other,
right,
it's not going to
happen. Balances out.
Yeah.
When you came out here, how did you get into Involve?
Okay, yeah. So Project Involve is with Film Independent. It was a program that was 9 months at the time. I think they've shortened it now. I think it's like 5 or 6 months. But I felt like, okay, 9 is my favorite number. I feel like 9, a lot of beautiful things happen with 9. Also pregnancy. I feel like, okay, if I'm out in LA for 9 months, I should know by the end of my time if I can handle this place or not.
And you submitted and got in?
Yes, so I submitted my short film, Q.U.E.E.N, had an interview, had I think 2 interviews, and then they were like, oh my God, you have to be out here in October. So then I had to tell my parents, I remember it was Labor Day weekend, and I had to tell them, oh yeah, by the way, I'm moving. And not a little place, like all the way to the West Coast. They were very freaked out. I don't really have a lot of family out here. So they were very concerned. But I was just like, just how I moved to Atlanta for Spelman and then grad school for New York, I got to go to the big leagues, and I got to go where the bigger players are, and I got to figure out if I can do this, like really do it. Like film school put me through the ringer, but let's be challenged again. And so being out here I was definitely challenged, but I'm so grateful that I came out here.
Did they provide housing, or you had to take care of that yourself?
So they do not, unfortunately, they do not provide housing. I had a little bit of grant money stashed away from film school because of being a thesis student. So I was able to matriculate and come out here with a little bit of the grant money that I had. So it's harder, I think, to just move to any, like, especially that's a big move. So I had money that I was able to live off for most of the time that I was out here. But towards the end of, the project involved journey, I had to figure out, okay, how am I going to make money here? What am I going to do? So that's when I really had to start kicking it into high gear.
And how did you make your money?
I interned at Sundance during, I think 2017, that summer I interned. That was an amazing experience to also see, how does Sundance work? How do they choose projects? How are people pitching, their projects to them? So it was a very great experience for me. Again, another opportunity to learn.
So let's go to mentors. Tell me how you look for your mentors.
Wow. I think I'm still looking for mentors in a way. I think I've definitely have had help. I think nobody is self-made by any means. But mentors are really challenging because I think I've always been looking for people who can keep it real, can be transparent. Especially, it would be nice to have a mentor who's another director who's eons and steps ahead of me. I was lucky enough to shadow Dee Rees on her film and to see what that experience was like, and also to speak to her during Sundance when I did Horizon Award. But it would just be nice to have more filmmaker, more director mentors, and that's sometimes tricky because sometimes people will view you as.
And Dee Rees is a black filmmaker who did
Mudbound, and
yes.
Pariah.
And Pariah, yes. Pariah was her breakout film.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But I feel like I have mentors who are maybe not necessarily directors, but producers or actors, and it's just been great to be able to still get their counsel over the years about, should I, sign with this person, or should I deal with this producer? And so I think it's hard.